Any second now. Wish it was faster. Okay, guys, welcome to LinkedIn for breakfast or for lunch for many of us. Thank you all for being great sports and jumping on this new time zone. For anybody that was kind of coming in at the start of this, we did a poll and worked out actually that 2 o'clock was a better time for people UK time because many more people said that they would be more likely to be able to attend. Plus, it also works for the US side. It's not that we're not unattended. I think we are between 60 and 70 people each week, which is fantastic. And I'm always very honored for people to come along. But if we can do anything that helps facilitate more of you being able to access this, then that's all good for me. If you're thinking, well, what is this LinkedIn for breakfast stuff? What is this madness? Well, we got a mission to create the best free place online where you can go deep on LinkedIn. Everything from what to post content wise, how to do LinkedIn lives, articles, how to do lead generation, which is our subject today. And we home all of that in our fantastic school community called LinkedIn for Breakfast. And if anybody hasn't or has been sleeping under a rock and hasn't seen me talk about my fantastic LinkedIn for Breakfast school group, let me just stick that in the chat, make sure it's the right group. And this is our community here when it loads. Fantastic. And so I'm going to put this in the chat and please do join. There's so much free content and support in here that you can dive into this. And we do stuff like such as a pod, which you can see here that we did. 219 of you were sharing and liking people's comments there. We got some great people asking for help and support. We got an amazing classroom and a calendar of events. It's a really great place to hang out. So do jump into there. Cool. So what are we going to be talking about today, gang, is LinkedIn lead generation tactics. And I want to just kind of start this off with more of a top level conversation around actually what do I see as being the art of lead generation. And really that is to try and do this, gang, without actually trying to sell something. This is, I know, very strange for most of us to be able to be thinking about. But if you try and go into LinkedIn or any lead generation and marketing activity going, I want people to go buy my stuff, then the game's afoot and they know that you're trying to do that, you know? And if it doesn't make sense to the person that you're trying to communicate with, then they'll smell a rat very quickly and go running scared and won't want to converse with you. And that's normally because everybody has been connected with by someone before, and 2 seconds later, a big old sales pitch comes out, and there's, you think, well, I don't, we've just met, like we can't go get married straight away. Come on, let's flirt a little bit, right? And that's what I want you guys to do. I want you to get a bit more flirty online, and actually to do this in a way that's classy, done in the right way, and also adds value because 99% of the people on this call are going to require some sort of interaction, some sort of consultative type sell because you're selling services, you're selling thought leadership, and that consultative type sell is so important. And so, just to kind of give some ground rules when we're approaching this, let me just give the kind of normal funnel diagram that I would always present. And the $1 million sprinters on here must hear me say this every single week, but it is so important to think about taking people from awareness, right? Into consideration, into convert, and then you get to deliver, right? And so what I mean by awareness is we need to find them. This is what we're going to talk about today. How do we find these people? We need to then connect with them. We need to then start to warm them up through things like posts, lives, newsletters, whatever we're doing, we're warming them up so they become aware of you. And then we need to move them into the next stage, which is consideration. They're aware that you are an accountant. Now I want to actually consider, are you good at being an accountant? And then finally, we want to move into a sales meeting, which is the convert bit. Could you be my accountant? And if you can, then you get to actually do accountancy work for me. Awareness, consider, convert, deliver. And everybody makes the mistake of trying to go connection into, let's have a virtual coffee after being connected to see, let's discover if there's something there. It's like, well, so many people I'm connected with on LinkedIn. There's so little time I've got in my life. I don't want to jump straight into something that feels like a sales meeting. But if you go, hey, doing a series of messages that actually says, well, look, I've got this thing that maybe you could look at. Check out this thing. And this consideration activity could be an event, could be a post, could be some longer form content when they see how good you are. This thing, this consideration piece is what we should be working upon. This is what we should be trying to connect with people and move them into this stage. Because once people get into this stage, then they'll move on to sales meeting stage. And that could be an event like this one, could be a newsletter, could be a long form piece of content, could be a vlog, could be a podcast, but just something that you can bring them in. That's what we should be promoting. So that's the art of lead generation without selling, is you've got to gather them into somewhere, and then from that place, then you open the door for them to come into your next stage because they've actually considered you as being half good, right? So let's think about this. Effective lead generation discovery techniques. This is where we want to go and head to now. We want to really deep down on actually how do we find these people first without me giving some sort of clever sales navigator demonstration, which we do in some of the other LinkedIn for Breakfast sessions, but that's not what this is about today. I want to show you how to use this for free, and I want you to discover how you can find some amazing people on LinkedIn. So let's say we are going onto LinkedIn and we want to go and target people who are, let's say we want to target accountants, right? So let's say that's our target audience and we want to work with accountants, right? So let's go, oh, there you go. I've already obviously been playing it beforehand. Let's just go hashtag accountant, right? So let's use that. In the search bar, we can use hashtag accountant if it loads up. Crikey, I don't know why that just did that. Let's just get rid of that. Come on. The best laid plans, eh? Cool. Right. So hashtag accountant. So we know that this is the type of person we want to go to. And why do I use a hashtag? Hashtag, when we're using this search, gives us so many options to be able to actually drill down on this. And so, first of all, we can start to look at what posts are being posted by people that are to do with accountants, right? And so we can actually then start to think about hashtag accountant. We can go down here and we can start to see who's talking about the subject and the people we want to work on, right? So this is sort of the first few that's come across, and we can actually sort by top match or the latest comments, and we can show the results, right? We can just look at date posted, we can look at content types. We might just say, well, actually, let's look at just people who are doing posts or job posts, probably not, but maybe say we just do images and videos or what have you, and we can just do searches, or at the moment, we're searching for posts, okay? So we're looking at which posts people are talking about. Well, has it gone to there? Come on. I think my network's slowing down for whatever reason. And we can see from different members. But the point here is that we can scroll down and we can actually see people that are commenting and liking this, right? So this is Truth Bomb, okay? So let's have a look at this one as an example. James Ashford here talks about if you're an accountant bookkeeper who's annoyed with Dext, decision to increase their pricing, right? So this is decision to increase the pricing of a software to do with accountancy, right? So we want to target accountants. So we're discovering here people who are frustrated about a piece of content or a price increase from a software accountant's software who have been hashtagged accountant on this post. See these 48 people here? There's 48 comments here and there's 103 likes. So I can now see there's 43 people here who are frustrated by this price increase. So what can I do about this? I can actually go, well, look, here's some people who are active, who are accountants and commenting on this post on LinkedIn. So I can now like this and I can start to network and connect and talk to these people, because why would I be doing this as opposed to just searching for accountant? Well, these are people who are active. And I also now know that Philippa here, who's an accountant, or that she's the service sector into accountancy. Well, here you go. This would work better. Will. So he's accountancy firm owner. And now he's mentioning or saying something about Dext. So now I can do a reach out to him. So say if I wanted to reach out, I could say, hey, Will, great to see your thoughts on the post about Dext. For me, Dext also is X, Y, and Z. And I thought it was some really interesting insights, and I can connect with him. And we have this process called CLAM that really helps. So what we mean by this is it's comment, like, add, message, right? And so this gives me far more likelihood of my conversation with Will here turning into something half good, because I can go on and see that he's commented on it. And so I think it's because the video is taking ages to load up, which is why it keeps on skipping for me. So I can go and comment on, like, so I can comment. Where is it? I'm just going to try and reply. There you go. So my comment would be, Will, great thoughts, X, Y, Z. And I'd give a couple of lines there. So it's comment. Then I can like what he said, and I'd probably use something like an insightful like this. So I've commented, liked, and then I'm going to go on to him and I'm going to add him as a client. So that's the add. And then once I've added him, I'm going to also message him at the same time. So I'm going to connect with him. I'm going to add a note to that connection request. And then this is the message, right? So CLAM, comment, like, add, message. Great thoughts on Dext, right? That is going to give you the start of a conversation. Because I don't know about you guys, but I am far more likely to set that connection request from someone. I'm also likely to respond back to them. And that little bit of extra time that I just spent there, being able to say it worked well. But here's where you optimize. There's 48 people who commented on that post about Dext. So my thoughts about Dext can be pretty much the same copied and paste message as a connection request to all of those 48 people. Because all of them are, I have got the same feeling about that Dext thing, whatever it is, right? I kind of know what it is, but I'm not that interested. But do you know what I mean? Like, and so I'd comment it, and I'd use the same one for all of those 48. And remembering, gang, that when we talk about any sort of lead generation, LinkedIn only allows you to do 100 connection requests a day. So I can only send 100 connection requests a week. So I could only do about 20 of these a day for 5 days. So I would work that one Dext post, doing connection and messaging to that one post for that day, right? So that would be my day's activity. So that's all I did. Very quickly found that post. I was all in around it. And then tomorrow I go find another post, all in around it, working on that hashtag accountant, right? And it wasn't just the 48 people there. There was also 108 likes. Do you see there's 103 likes on that one post? And so that's 103 people. So I could actually spend the entire week going through just this one post, because everybody here was liking and commenting on that Dex thing. And it might even be worthwhile me creating a little bit of a blog around it that I could share to these people, because it's just giving me, I'm not trying to sell anything to them. I'm just starting or continuing on the conversation with them around something that they've already put their hand up and said that they're interested about, right? So can you see how this is really helping me to structure how my weeks work? Cool. Next part, that was just the posts. I can also do some other elements that will help me to really find people around this. And I can go and look at people, okay? So hashtag accountant, I can do a search like this. It shows me I've got 8,300, but this is how we can start to use the tools, and I don't have to use Sales Navigator. I can actually say, well, I only want to see second degree people because I don't want to connect with first degree people. I can then also say I want to see them just in England. I can show that results, and I can then start to do a few more different filters if I wanted to, and check out these filters in here. So I can see location, if I want to do current company, past company, if where they were educated, the industry that they're in. So actually I could just do a little bit of here, just accounting in here. Profile language, I could say that I want to speak with only English people or English speaking profile languages, because sometimes that's relevant. Service category, so I can again go accounting, and I can really start to filter it down and show this results. Now, this gives me a list of 877 people now that I could work my way through and actually speak to within there. Now, that's pretty basic. And to be honest, the one that I just showed you beforehand is probably more of an advanced way of doing it because it gives me an in, but this is just a nice way for you to find leads on LinkedIn and work it through that way. Again, by not even changing anything in the search criteria, just using the filters. The other thing is cool, which is events. Now, we want people who are in information mode, okay? Who are accountants who are trying to do stuff, right? So if we are trying to work with accountants, etc., and let's just try and ask the accountants find to something along here. Here you go. So how to, oh, actually, this is my good friend, Amanda. So how to launch and scale your advisory offer, right? So she's talking about how to launch and grow an advisory offer for accountancy practice. And look, she's got 80 people that are booked in for attendance in there, right? So if I wanted to, and I wanted to know who those 80 people are, I could actually go and press attend. Now, if you are saying that you're going to attend one of these events, then the beauty of this is that I've gone now and I can actually, if I'm an attendee, see the 79 people that are attendees of this event. And look, here they are. So these people are telling me that they are interested in attending events on LinkedIn and are interested in this particular subject matter and also are accountants. And look, here they are. So, well, there goes Dex to come up again. But look, accountancy, 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 accountancy. So the beauty of this is that these are all people who are active on LinkedIn, interested in account or are accountants and interested in accountancy stuff and interested in marketing stuff to do with accountants because they're going to that event. So when I'm thinking about going back to my diagram here, I want to get people along to my consideration activity, and my consideration activity is events, then I can make sure that I'm connecting with people that are already attending events, sending them a series of messages and saying, hey, amazing event that Amanda put on. I'm actually hosting something, so probably quite a good complimentary thing. Wonder if you might fancy coming along to it. Here it is, right? And so coming along, here's the type of people that attend these stuff, right? So what a great way of finding a pool of motivated people who are in research mode, who are attending stuff like this, right? And of course, remember, if people are just registering for events, etc., even if they don't attend, you can still get their name and email address and phone number. So then they join your database, so then you can start to re-market to them further down the line. Cool. Last one I'm going to show you on this is services. Okay. So services is something that a lot of people will have hashtags on their actual profile and it will show as different services. And again, you can look at service categories, you can look at locations, etc. And this will really help. And you see how you've got these hashtags that will come up. And again, this will give you a nice list of people to potentially go after. Okay. So I would say probably the comments on posts and the attendance of events are high indicators. And then the services that they have and the hashtags they've got in their profile are just basic indicators. Okay, so that gives you an idea of how you could put together this type of list. Okay, so those are the kind of where you go out and actually do marketing to them. Let's now move on to the next category, right? Utilizing polls for lead generation. Now, when we do an event and we're trying to find an audience that are interested, not only am I going to go find other places that they've registered for other people's posts and events, but I can also create what we call a honeypot, which is a poll. And polls are fantastic ways of being able to start the week of your event week or start the week of your content week. Because you can see here for me, this is the event, this is the poll that we did 2 days ago. And this poll says, what aspects of LinkedIn lead generation do you find most challenging, right? It says 4 different aspects in there, and people are voting for those aspects. And look, we got 28 people that voted on this poll and 19 comments and 14 likes. So that allows me, if I just go onto my profile, it would allow me to go through all these lovely people and actually see what they voted. And of course, also message them and say, hey, I've got an event going on to do with this subject. I'd love you to come along to it. So here you go. Let's go give you a live example. So if we go into here, and many of you may be at this event because of exactly this. And so you can see in here, you can click on the votes that you've received on your poll, and then you can actually go through each single one and send them a message to thank them for their vote and be able to move them on to the next stage, which you would simply be able to type in there, type in a message to Tracy there and say, thank you so much for your vote on the poll, and invite them to register for the event. And if you can do this on say a Monday, then you can be posting that to get people along to your events on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in the week. You're generating your own set of potential target audiences through there. And so that, again, gives you so much opportunity. Look at all these lovely comments to be able to message people and bring them along to your event. Cool. And then the final question is around this connection request. I'm going to open up to questions in a second. I'm going to give you a swipe file as well now, gang, of exactly what to say. So when we start to think about connection requests, here's the swipe file that I give out, and I'll just go to it here, and I'm going to put this into the chat for people to be able to grab this Google Sheet totally for free, and hopefully it gives you some nice messaging templates, and then I can do a quick demo on this and take some further questions. And let me just get it up for here. So here is the outreach templates that we use. And it also gives you a bit of a feel for actually the delays that I put in between my messages. So when I message people and I start to connect, if it's just generic, and this is for generic, then I will say something like, hi, just a friendly coach to coach hello. This is if I'm trying to target coaches. You might just say just a friendly hello. How are things in this crazy upside down world? And the reason why I'm doing that is I'm just asking light-hearted, hey, how is things? Just a friendly hello. Yeah, how are things? Because I'm not trying to sell, but I'm opening up conversation. Then I'll wait 3 days, view the profile, like some 3 posts. And why am I liking 3 of their most recent posts? Is because it will ping up in the feed that Richard Woods has liked your last posts. So it shows that I'm active and attentive, and then I've sent them another message, and then I'll say, hi, we recently launched an exciting free community. So, hey, it's a free thing where we discuss these stuff, and I'd love you to be part of it, and then a link into the community. Not trying to sell anything, just saying, hey, come and see what we're doing, right? Then I'm going to wait 2 weeks to let that settle. And then again, I'm going to view the page, and then I'm just going to now do what we call ask a question. So we go from question to call to action, question, call to action, question, right? So this is, I just thought I'd check in what big project you're working on this quarter. And the beauty of this is you just want to just check in what you're working on, right? Not trying to say, hey, buy my stuff. And then we're going down, we're leaving it a month now. And then we're going in, we're going to like 3 posts because by then they probably would have posted some stuff. And then we're going to say, hey, I've got a replay from a session. Would you like a replay of one of the things that we did? So again, adding value. I'm not trying to sell, just add value. Now, when they watch the session, that's going to give a call to action for people to book a sales meeting, potentially. But and the initial conversation, we're lead generating without selling, right? And then we're going to wait 28 days, and then we're going to do what we call the semi breakup, which is, hi, I'm generally interested in connecting further, but would you say that LinkedIn is not the best place to do so? The lack of response above shows it's not, lol, right? It's light-hearted, but it sort of breaks up, and it means that we can leave the DM strategy from there, and it allows the thing to relax and work through, okay? And we can send these posts and work these posts. Now, if you're not doing this through automation, let me give you an example of a sheet when we've got, if people don't know, we have a number of marketing execs that we give to our clients, and we do this sort of work for our clients. So if anybody's interested in having all this done for you, let me know, and I can. I'll give you an opportunity to just book in for a quick chat with me at the end if you'd like that. But this is the type of sheet that we'll be going through. So we'll be doing data scrapes of people's names and their LinkedIn connections. We'll be sending email 1, email 2, email 3. So that's kind of cold email. But then when we're talking about that sequence that I just showed you, you could simply just have a column like this that says, when did you send the connection request? When did they actually connect? When did you send the first message, the second message, the third message, the fourth message? And then what's the conversation status and the notes? And what we do, we've got green, amber, and gray. So green is that they booked a sales meeting. Amber is that they've joined the community or joined an event. And gray is when they say don't talk to me anymore. So you color code it all the way through, and whatever's white, you just carry on working it. Super simple, right? But highly effective and really good to actually keep control of the conversation and who you're talking to and constantly what you're going on. So that's what we want to show. I'm going to open it up to questions. But just before I take the first one, genuinely, if you want to have a conversation about us doing this whole piece for you, where we're doing all of this data scraping to find your target audience, we're sending out all the messages to get people along to an event, we're helping you to fill an event, we're helping you to follow up an event, and we're helping you to book sales meetings. That's what we do. We want to do it for you. And we also want to coach you on how to present them. We basically want you to have a LinkedIn for breakfast, but for your audience and for your particular subject matter. And if you're interested in that, just a half an hour conversation with me personally, on the phone, no pressure, but well worth having a quick natter about it if you've got the time. So there's a link in the chat here, and I'd love to be able to share how I can do all of that for you. So just so you can just give us a thumbs up if you can see that link in the chat now. Wicked. Okay, good stuff. And look, they've only got a couple of dates left for you to jump on, and you'll be able to see a couple of these that you can jump in and grab a couple of slots with me. Cool. Okay, into the room then, gang. Questions, thoughts, what have you got? I know there was a few in the chat as well. So if anybody's got one that I can work on whilst I'm quickly looking at the chat, please let me know. Okay, Holly, great question. So Holly says, messaging everybody in the post would look like a lot like copy and paste. Holly, fantastic question. Actually, no, because the point of it is you don't message everybody who's commented, because not everybody who's commented is actually going to be target audience. That's first one. So not every single one is going to be right. Second one is that you're commenting back on their comment. So you're going to say fantastic thoughts. Yeah, Dave. Yes, I think that. And you're basically understanding what they're saying. Now, when you go into a DM and the connection request with them, then that can be copy paste, because that's going directly to the person. So that's important to point out. But when you're actually in the comments, it can be slightly different. And what our team do is actually use ChatGPT to be able to generate different responses and comments to those comments. So that helps just for time and speed and accuracy. They just go and just ChatGPT it. And so they'll say, please create a comment back from this comment about this post, and boom, 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 and it will create the comments on it. Cool. Other thoughts, gang? Feel free to unmute and ask your question. Happy to keep on answering. So Ronnie says messages on first connections limited to 5 per month. So when you're doing your connection requests with first degrees, you may find yourself coming up to a limit of actually how many of those new connection requests you can send with a tailored, a bespoke message in it. So in that case, if you hit that limit, you just send a connection request without the comment. But because you've messaged on their comment already, you will ping up in their feed as someone that's active, but they're going to be more likely to know who you are when they see the connection request come in. So that's why we do it as well. It's a way of kind of getting around that restriction that LinkedIn's brought out, which has stopped people putting a bespoke connection request message in. It's actually sympathetic to that. So that's definitely one of the things that will help you there, Ronnie. You may need to add in some sandwiches with Holly says I may need to add some sandwiches in with those croissants, given the new time. Very true. I think you're right. Good stuff. Thank you. Further questions, gang, around this. So who's been trying this sort of stuff? Who's been getting some feedback when they've been doing lead generation? Who's got some questions?
Richard, just on the workflow, sitting down here in the southern part of Africa, things like Get Prospect and HubSpot, are they pretty useful to have? Because I think Get Prospect can get leads out of LinkedIn.
I'm not quite sure about Get Prospect, but HubSpot's great, but you can use HubSpot as the free version, no problem at all.
Mm.
You just pay when it starts to, you want to do some more clever stuff with it. Depends on what you're trying to do and use it for. If you're trying to get leads out of LinkedIn, like, there's 10 loads and loads of ways to be able to get leads. I
Yes,
just showed you for
yes.
free there.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't necessarily be worrying. Now, we use a few different tools, but for example, expand your lead. You can put the URL of a post that's done well into it, and it will scrape all the people who have actually commented on it into a list, and then you can try and send messages to those people in the list. But again, like I always say on these calls, you want a TNAD. So that's try it, nail it, automate it, delegate it. So try this stuff, find these posts on LinkedIn, message them, talk to them, connect with them. If they start connecting back and they actually start having a conversation with you and booking sales calls, that's you nailing it. Right? We're going to try
Mm.
this, we're going to nail it. Then automate and delegate it. So you want to automate as much as you can to remove the human from every single part as possible, because that would be the most inexpensive way of doing it. And then finally delegate the responsibility for managing the entire system to someone else, so you no longer have to worry about that.
Yeah.
And that automate and delegate it piece is the bit that potentially people might use our business for, Million Dollar Sprint, because we're helping people to be able to automate and delegate it, and we'll train them on doing that, try it and nail it piece. So that's one of the things we want to talk about. But that's why I want people to try this stuff to see, look, it works. Wow, I'm getting leads, I'm getting sales. It took a bit of time. Okay, now how can I remove the time from me having to do the stuff? And that's the bit that we want to help with. So
Mm.
if that helps. But just on that one, by the way, again, just remember I do have, and Ronnie, thank you for that question. I've just put it in the chat again, and thank you, by the way, for people who have actually booked into this call. I've just had a couple of people notified that they've just booked in. Here's the slots available in the diary for you guys to be able to book in, and just do jump into that's in the chat now. Just grab one of these, and they're only quick half-an-hour calls, and we can discuss how potentially we might be able to help you with that. Fab, cool. Who else got a couple of questions in here? Cool. Holly's saying starting out with Leadif for LinkedIn outreach, so it's very helpful content and timeline is great. She says my only concerns were using this for secondary connections, but how can I re-engage first degree connections? Perfect. Okay. So first degree versus secondary connections, you can do a search for first degree connections and filter those first degree connections into different categories. So when we're doing a sort of campaign to our current audience, because you spend loads of time connecting with your current audience, and they then sit there gathering digital dust for days, you can simply go and do exactly the same searches that I was just showing you within LinkedIn here, but go to your hashtag accountant and filter on people. Come on. There we go. Filter on people. So slow today. And then you just use the first degree connection piece in here. So I can go first degrees. Here we go. And then I can also go location if I wanted to. So I can then go United Kingdom. Perfect. If I wanted to target all the people in the UK. And now I can see that I've got 377 accountants that we're connected with in the United Kingdom. And then this allows me to go and message them. Now, here's the beautiful thing about this is that you can do loads of these first degrees. We actually talk about doing 80 first degree connection messages a day. So we call it the 100 Club if you're doing some hardcore lead generation. So it's 20 new connection requests a day and 80 first degree messages a day, making 100 messages in the day. And that's quite a nice rhythm if you're doing some real hardcore lead generation. But ultimately, I can just go in here and I can just copy and paste the same. Oh, that's interesting. That's an AI message in there. But yeah, I mean, it's been some time since we've connected. How have you been? Wow, that's really cool. It's a little AI message in there. There you go. And I'll send that as a message. But ultimately, it should, you should have a preset message that you've got in here, and you're just going copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste until you hit your 80 a day. And then you go and write down, right, I got up to Daniel last time, and then you go back to the same search, and then you go from Daniel and do another 80 and work it through that way. That's a simple way of doing it. Cool. And do we have another question here from Helga? I feel like we can identify. So talking about identifying ChatGPT comments. So the ChatGPT comments you can get a lot better at doing. So particularly if you start to kind of shape the AI towards your way of looking at things. So you can say things like, answer it in a very kind of open, light-hearted, I don't know, UK English as opposed to American English spelling way with a question on an end, but under 140 characters. Do you know what I mean? Like you can really kind of tailor that to create a nice short message, and then just go from there. Most of the ChatGPT comments that are obvious, they're just done too simply. Just haven't loaded up the AI properly. So it'll get better, but it's worth doing, and it's worth just spending a little bit of time just getting the prompt right. But once you've got the prompt right, you're just copying and pasting that same prompt each time and using it for your comments and your outreach. I hope that helps. Cool, guys. So we've got some more questions firing in here. Yeah, so Holly, fantastic. So the more time spent on it, the more that you're kind of starting to help to tailor it and feed it better. So yes, no, completely agree there, Holly. Thank you. Further thoughts, Dan? What is a healthy response rate for connection requests accepted? Great question, Jonathan. So in terms of healthy response rate from connection requests sent, you're probably looking between 20 and 30%. 20 and 30%, that's healthy. I always say apply email marketing metrics to connection requests. So a good email marketing campaign is about a 20 to 30% open rate. A good click-through rate on an email marketing campaign is about 1%, 1 to 2%. So 20 to 30% connection requests recepted, 1 to 2% as what we would say going through to being a marketing qualified lead, an MQL, right? And so that's a 1 to 2% hit rate on potential opportunities. So if you're doing the 100 club every day, you're looking for that one good opportunity a day. If you're only sending out 2 or 3 connection requests and a few messages, then it might take you a whole week to hit 100. And so that's important to think about. So it's the same with email marketing, 20, 30% open rate, 1 to 2% click-through rate. Approach your LinkedIn outreach in exactly the same way. Cool. So we got Jim here. So how would you go about connection requests that aren't accepted, but you really want to talk to the person as the key POC? Person of chart? What's a POC? Who's going to help me out?
Point of contact.
Point of contact. Okay, sorry. So the key person point of contact. How would you go about connection requests that aren't accepted, but you really want to talk? Cool. So it's going to be down to the kind of classic digital stalking. So there's a few things that you could do, Jim. Is that one, you can actually start to just ping them up as being someone that you want to see their content. The more you're engaging with them, the more you're going to see them in the feed. In fact, in Sales Navigator, if you've got Sales Navigator, you can actually highlight them and it will just be on your dashboard and you'll constantly see what they're doing. And you can keep on liking and commenting and messaging them. You can send an in-mail to people that aren't accepting it. You can also invite them, do a specific invite. You can see which groups that they're in on LinkedIn. If you're inside the same group as someone on LinkedIn, even if you're not connected with them, you can send a message to them that way. You can also revoke your connection request. So you can send a connection request. If they haven't accepted it within 20 days, revoke it, wait another 10 days, and then resubmit the connection request to them. And so keep on working. So try and send the connection, didn't happen, okay, messaging and being abundant in the world, and then go again, go again. And then I'd also think about flipping platforms, right? So I'd be then going, well, actually, how can I go get their email list, email campaign? I'll be sending them an email. How can I go find them on LinkedIn? How can I go check out anything that they're posting on YouTube or whatever? And you then just start to become abundant in their world. That's how you can do some real kind of high ticket, like high end, C-suite type targeting, because you just have to work a lot harder the more senior they go up the food chain. I'd also be looking at who's in their team, and I'd also be looking at who's like VAs or PAs or whatever, and I'd also be trying to connect with them to be able to get an intro, and it would start to feel a bit more familiar because you go from being a third degree to a second degree to that person, and then your profile has also connected with these 7 people within their same firm. Then the connection request looks a bit more warm to them as well. So that's what I'll try and do. Fantastic. Thank you, Jim. Is there any value in LinkedIn groups, or should they be pushing to, or should we be pushing to meeting? How do we create a community on LinkedIn? Great. So Lizzie, LinkedIn groups maybe could be a good option for you. They're starting to come a little bit better, but they're really not anywhere near where they should be. Facebook groups are struggling with the same thing. The problem is with these communities is that you just have so many distractions on this platform, which is why we use school for our community, because the more places that you can go to, the better the less distraction, and the better the place that you can house your content and your value, the better it is. Whereas on Facebook or LinkedIn, there's so many things that are distracting all the time that nobody gets to spend too much time in it. That said, there are some good communities that people do spend a bit of time in, and so we like them from a lead generation perspective. For example, you can't use a drop down to target women or men. There is no gender search criteria in any of the softwares, Sales Navigator or just basic LinkedIn. So you have to go to find groups such as Women in Business. You'd have to join that group, and then once you join that group, then you can go and target all the people in there, knowing that they're going to be predominantly female. Same with events. You could go to women-only events and predominantly target those. It's a little bit difficult if you're trying to target the opposite sex, because you've obviously got to join those events and those groups, and it's hard to actually get into some of those groups, obviously, because they'll see what your your profile is not of that gender. So that's there's obviously some blurred lines that are happening more recently, so you might have a better shot this decade than last decade, but most of the time you're not going to get into the other groups. So that's what I would say about it. Ultimately, if we are trying to bring people to something that's a consideration piece, bring them to something that's live. Because if they come to something that's live, you see them, you answer questions, you can tailor responses, you feel a community, you can see people in it, build those relationships, and then you can move them on to the next stage in your funnel. And that's so, so important. And that is the bit that I would love to do for you guys. So last time, before I take the final questions, if there is anyone, just remember, and thank you for the people that have done, to book in to have a quick chat with me, because I would be delighted to have those conversations. Let me just stick that in the chat one last time. And there you go. So for the people that have booked into that, thank you so much. I hope there was a good time for you. Happy to take a final question then before we close for today. Good to see you, Joe, by the way. Fantastic, Mr. Hickey. Well done. Bravo. Great to see you, mate. Okay, final questions or thoughts? Rocket Tech is handy for obtaining email addresses. Okay, so good. Nice bit of software recommendation. Thank you. Any final questions or thoughts that they want to add into today? Wicked. All done. Fantastic. Well, look, thank you all for supporting the new time. We're going to review the numbers, see how it went. But if anybody had any further thoughts around that time clock that they want to relay, that would be fantastic. Outside of that, thank you all for being fantastic. And I will catch you next week on one of their calls. Thanks again, all. Take care. Cheers. Bye.